the Development and Government Relations meeting, and it is April 27th, 6:30. The meeting is going to be held in person. We have no remote, so we won't have to read our statement. It's being televised live on Holyoke Media. I'm sorry. It's live Spanish interpretation will be available on Channel 15 using the television's SAP option through the live stream in the city website, as well as Zoom meeting by clicking the interpretation option and choosing Spanish. We have the full committee here this evening. We have Councilor Rivera, Councilor Sullivan, Councilor Panich, Councilor Morissette, and myself, the chair, Richard Purcell. I'll entertain a motion for item number 1.
Motion to take up item number 1.
Second.
All those in favor? It's accepting the minutes from March 23rd, 2026 meeting. Are there any corrections, amendments?
Mr. Chair, they're not ready. I apologize.
Oh, so
Sorry, Jeff.
I'll take my motion back.
Well, motion to table.
Motion to table the minutes. Item 1.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Are you ready now, Jeff?
No, I was saying that the minutes hadn't been ready, so there's nothing to approve.
I'll entertain a motion to open up the public hearing on item number 2.
Motion, yes, second, I guess. So moved in second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Are the applicants here?
They still need this to be continued. There's no update regarding the paperwork that they needed to have submitted with Mass DEP and with the Board of Health. Unfortunately, I don't have any further information as far as when they will be ready, but I was told there isn't any additional update.
I'll entertain, Councilor.
So, Jeff, is there a specific date that it has to be moved to, or do we just continue? Do we just table it?
You can continue as far as you need it to be honest. No discussion happened when this was first opened, so nobody's missed out on anything substantive as far as this goes, so you can continue it. Yeah, you can pick whatever date is my understanding.
I'll leave that up to you and the chair to figure out the date. But for now, go ahead.
I'll entertain a motion to, sorry.
This has been going on for 13 months now, and it's been continued 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's been continued 8 times. Would it be better just to give it leave to withdraw without prejudice?
No. If I may, Madam, or Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say, has anybody in the last, few months reached out to see what's up with this application?
I have communicated with, so I have a thread with Tim Rivers from the Board of Health as well as the applicant. That's been ongoing since last year. And every time this has been continued, I've let them know of the date that it's been continued to. And then a couple of weeks before the new date, I've reached out to them just to see if there's any update. And with this last update, all I got was that there is nothing new.
Yeah, no, I'm only asking because, of course, if we give this leave to withdraw and close the public hearing, then if they're serious about this, they will have to reopen the public hearing and go through notice again, and we'll have to schedule again. On the other hand, if they're just not responding, what can we do?
Well, I will say the last couple of times, the only response that I've gotten has been from the Board of Health Director. The applicant themselves hasn't responded in the thread.
Okay, so I would just propose as a courtesy, maybe we send them a letter saying, if you don't show up for the next one, we will close the public hearing and you can refile if you need to. But at least say, we will close, as opposed to we will continue, and continue to the next meeting of this committee just as a courtesy one last time.
Counselor Devine.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think you could read it because you haven't read it, and if people at home or here in the audience might be wondering what you're talking about.
Item number one, or item number two on the agenda is a public hearing regarding the owner Alan W. Finney, and they're making.
Microphone.
I apologize. The applicant is Alan W. Feeney, and they're trying to make a family cemetery at Feeney Family at 2 Feeney Road, Holyoke, Mass. And we have this description of the plot, and the real estate taxes have all been paid. There's no personal property, there's no excise tax, and there's no planned payment. The address is 2019 East Mountain Road, and that's pretty much it, except for the description of the plot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
This is an RA zone where a family cemetery is allowed with a special permit of the city council, so.
What's the pleasure of the body?
I believe, I'm not sure if I may.
Yes.
Counselor Panich asked if, like, out of courtesy, if we could send a letter. So if we're in agreement, then I guess I'll make the order.
Make the motion.
The motion, my bad. That we send the letter to whomever it is that is applying for this, reminding them of this, and that we continue it to another date. And in that letter, we let them know when that date is. And I guess for us, it's if that date comes and they still have not responded, then we can entertain what Councilor Sullivan's recommendation was.
So we made did everybody hear the motion? Is there a second?
But we need to specify the date and time because it has to be a date certain.
Yes.
And Councilor
That would have to
Farah
be-
did note that, but I don't know the DGR schedule.
Yeah, that would have
so-
to be between you and Jeff.
So it'll be rescheduled till our next meeting, which I believe is on May 11th, isn't it, Jeffrey?
May 18th.
May 18th, I apologize, May 18th. So there was a motion made and seconded to continue this till May 18th with stipulations.
Just a suggestion, to the chair. Maybe we want to give them more than 30 days also. We could extend it out 60 days or
Do
something.
our first meeting in June, I guess.
So we haven't scheduled the meeting for June yet, but we'll schedule it for,
Well,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I think technically we have to schedule for a date certain. So if we
Okay.
don't have the date certain for May yet, we can certainly open and continue then. And, I mean, I do take Counselor Sullivan's point. It would be nice to give them more time, but if we don't have a date certain, we can't continue to it.
So then the May.
Jeff, didn't we have a meeting scheduled for June?
Not yet.
No? All right.
So we're going to table this order till May 18th, and Jeffrey's going to send out a letter to the family to please come in and tell us what they plan on doing.
I mean, we could pick a June date right now if that was the, will of the chair and the body. And it's up to you if you want to do May 18th or try to pick another day.
One moment, please. I'm going to look at my calendar. Jeffrey, in the calendar at the back, is June 15th available?
Yes, it is.
June 15th sound good to everybody?
I think so.
Unfortunately, that'll be the day that I'm presenting for my capstone project at school. So if it's an evening, you can. I don't know if they have the space for everyone.
Jeffrey, how about June
But you
22nd?
can schedule it for the 15th. I don't have to be there.
I just want to look.
There's
one more
5
date.
people
June
here.
22nd, can you be here?
Yeah.
How about June 22nd, Jeffrey?
You can do June 22nd. One thing I will note is that because the final council meeting before you go on recess is the 16th, if it does get reported out that night, the council meeting would be the first Tuesday in August.
I'll make an executive decision and say June 15th.
I mean, no, you can, I'm just putting that out there. I don't think it matters. It's just, I thought it was an important detail to share.
No worries. We'll do June 15th, and we won't kick Izzy Rivera off the committee. And so we had a motion and seconded.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
No roll call, right, Jeffrey?
No,
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to take up item number 3.
Item number 3 is a public hearing for a special permit application of Rights Block LLC at 106-120 High Street to reconstruct a non-conforming structure to build 2 egresses, staircases, at the rear of the commercial storefront units into the rear alleyway in footprint of existing staircases per 4.7.3.
So a motion to open a public hearing.
Second?
A motion has been made and seconded to open up the public hearing. Is the applicant here?
Yes, Chair, this is William Wommeldorf with Rights Block LLC, representing this item.
All right.
And I'm happy to share my screen to show you the egresses in question. It's a special permit through section 4.73, and it's 2 wooden egress staircases that we'd like to remove and then replace an existing footprint. Let me see if I can share here. So I'm sharing here on my screen, if you can see it, there's 4 towers that make up the Rights Block building. It's addressed at 106 and 120 High Street. So these 2 staircases exist behind the 106 storefront and then the 120 storefront. I submitted in our application a survey prepared by Levesque and Associates showing those 2 staircases outside of our property bounds in the shared passageway. And then also enclosed here is an elevation showing those egress staircases. Basically, they're falling apart. We're doing a lot of rehabilitation above to install 19 mixed income and affordable apartments, and now is really, we got a lot of contractors on site, so we'd love to just rebuild these to match the egress staircase we have for the apartments going up over on the inside the property. We have been in communication with our neighboring parcel, which is the Holyoke Housing Authority. We have a license agreement to do work in that passageway. And I think, the other consideration is the fire department, which we've met out on site there. And their understanding is they need to be able to fit a fire engine through the passageway, which they can do currently. And the incinerator chimney is kind of actually protrudes a little bit past that staircase. And that clearance we've measured and have confirmed that a responding engine can make its way through. So I think we've covered our grounds on what we need here, but happy to open it up for comments.
Are there any questions? Councilor Sullivan?
Yeah, so William, basically, the footprint of the new egress is exactly the same as the old one?
Yes, yeah, it is measured to meet commercial codes. Is it going to be off by an inch or two? I wouldn't be able to tell you right here, but I think we're going to basically have it land where it previously landed. There's a kind of like a footing for us there, so it's in our best interest to have it land in its existing footprint.
Right. So it is in the existing footprint of what's there already. It's just,
Yeah.
once again, it's a non-conforming structure that we're working on, right?
Yeah, it's largely because it's off of our property. At least my understanding of the I'm gonna call it regulation, but we wouldn't be able to create it new, today, but I think, because it already exists, we're able to replace it if we go for this permit. And, I think, my thought is you want to look at, how, neighbors perceive it and life safety of the apparatus, into account.
Councilor Panich.
Yeah. So what I hear you saying is that this is going to be the same footprint, so it is not substantially less conforming than it starts out. And it will also increase safety and the general aesthetics and be better for fire prevention. Does that sum it up?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay, so I think that checks off what we need to approve a non-conforming structure or a replacement of a non-conforming structure.
Any other questions? Is there any, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to make a motion to approve this special.
Well, I want to see if anybody else in the audience is,
Yeah,
for
this
the,
is,
for the public hearing. Is anybody else that would like to speak at the public hearing about this structure? No other speakers?
Okay, motion to close the public hearing?
second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a,
Motion to approve the special permit?
Do we approve it ourselves, or do we send it to the full council with a recommendation it be approved?
I believe that's what happened. We approve it here, and then it goes to the full council.
Okay, so we should, because this is a public hearing, or not a public hearing, but because this is a special permit, if we could just make some findings so that they can be captured for the special permit? Like that,
oh, you got the book.
I've got the book because never remember this off the top of my head, but special permit granting authority, blah, 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 social, economic, or community needs which are served by the proposal. I'd say we are rehabilitating a downtown block and adding housing, which the city desperately needs. And anybody, please feel free to interrupt me and add stuff. Traffic flow and safety, this shouldn't affect traffic flow. Adequacy of utilities and other public services, it will not affect the utilities, it will promote fire safety. Neighborhood character and social structures, it may have a positive impact by improving the general safety of downtown and street presence and its character, just because we're going to be adding population. Impacts on the natural environment should have none. Potential fiscal impacts, including impact on city services, tax base, and employment. We expect this to have a positive impact because it will increase density of housing downtown and increase the street appeal of any commercial properties. And do we want to add any conditions to this? Hearing none, and thank you for indulging me.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
I think for me, this is 4 years going on 5. This is the first time when we approve a special permit that we go through that process.
The
So I
chair has
appreciate
one thing
that.
to say, what she said.
Hey,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Just my own preference would be that if you do take a vote in favor of this special permit, I prefer that you did that, so that when we go to city council meeting, you guys can explain what you talked about.
well, yeah, no, I expected that we were going to take a vote. I just wanted to add the conditions before we did it.
Thank you, Mimi. Councilor Sullivan, you had a motion, didn't you?
I think so.
What is your motion?
To approve the special permit?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We'll do a roll call. Councilor Rivera?
Aye. Yes.
Councilor Sullivan?
Yes.
Councilor Massenet? Yes. Councilor Panich?
Yes.
And Councilor Purcell says yes also. This special permit is approved by the city, and we'll send it to the full city council by the committee.
Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Okay, motion to take
You
up
as
item,
well.
motion to take up item number 4.
Motion has been made to take up item number 4.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 4 is a petition from William M. Sullivan and Company for a renewal of a junk dealer's license at 107 Appleton Street. Is the applicant here? Turn the mic on, please.
Might have to put it on the chair. Brian Powell, William F. Sullivan Company, President.
Hi, thank you. Any questions for the owner,
Yeah,
president?
if I may, I understand that there have been a great number of noise complaints from machinery operating before 7 a.m. And I believe that Councilor Thalheimer has more details about these. But I wondered whether you were aware of them and whether there was any plan to cure the apparent beginning of work before normal hours.
We have had no indication whatsoever of these complaints.
I am in receipt, sorry,
Are there any other more?
You allow her to go first. That's fine.
Councilor Thalmar?
I am in receipt of 21 separate emails from a resident in that neighborhood with video of work starting before 7 a.m.
How long have you had these?
There is a file going back for quite some time. I am new to this job. I have just been here for about 4 months, but some of the copies of emails I've got have been going back. I think I saw one from 2022. There are others as well. I believe Councilor Murphy Ramboletti, who's online with her hand up, can also speak to some of this.
Any other committee members? You may ask, Tessa, you may have ask your question.
Thank you. Just to confirm what Councilor Thalheimer just said, the city, actually, the law department sent a letter in the mail on June 27th, 2024. That's one of the earlier ones that I'm aware of, that indicates that the city's noise ordinance prohibits the creation of loud and excessive noise prior to 7 a.m. Monday through Friday. This was sent via mail. It was sent by the city's law department, and this was discussed at the 2024 meeting. I took notes. I'm not trying, me personally, I'm not trying to, I'm really not trying to get in the way of anyone doing business, but it's not fair. And at this point, it is in blatant violation of the noise ordinance. And if the city is going to enforce noise ordinances and say that they're going to do it across the board, then we actually need to be doing that. And I know for me, I live downtown. And so I've heard there were comments at the last meeting that, that this was discussed at back in June 2024. That, you know, this is what happens when you live downtown. That is not how we should be conducting business. And so I'm just asking, again, respectfully, that businesses that are operating in our city, please, please, please adhere to the noise ordinance, which says that the work cannot be started at 7 a.m. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Can I respond?
Oh, yeah, yes.
So I was here in 2024, and we did listen to the complaint. As far as we knew, it was one person who wrote in. We did make some operational changes at that point, and we thought that that solved the problem. We changed some of the way that we operate early in the morning. Since that time, since 2024, we haven't heard anything. That was the last time that we had any type of complaint that we know about.
If I may.
Councilor
Yeah.
Rivera.
So for me, I will confirm that I've heard, and it's from this, I would say from the same constituent since dating back to 2024 too as well. But at the same time, what I will say, because I grew up in that particular neighborhood, and I'm very familiar with a lot of people that live in that neighborhood, unfortunately, to them, they don't feel like they have the voice or the wherewithal to come to city council to speak about certain particular issues that go on in their neighborhood because it's downtown, right? That's the logic that some people feel or get the feeling. But they have voiced some concern to me around noise, smells, and at the same time, different little fires that are on and off. What I say to them is that's part of the business, right? With regards to what's happening, I don't think it's a good enough answer. But at the same time, I also try to encourage them to show up to city council meetings and try to write in letters that their voice would speak a lot louder if they did that. But ultimately, for me, I guess what I'm saying is just because you don't hear the complaints and they don't directly come to city council or don't come to you guys, I will say it doesn't mean that there aren't a significant amount of complaints that are in that community. There's actually a school right there. My daughter goes to that school. Your son goes too. So like the concern of what is the air quality in that area? My daughter actually has asthma and suffers from asthma, and she goes to school there. So I mean, I'm not in the business of just stopping the business, but there is concerns pertaining to the particular business because it's close to residential. I totally understand that it's in a district that zoned it, but hopefully in rezoning, maybe they can help the downtown area with some of the zoning because it really doesn't feel fair, to be honest. But that's not necessarily your fault, right, at this moment. But I just, for me, there are some concerns that the community has around sound, smells, and potential little smokes. I'm not going to say fire, smoke that comes up. And because people can't see in, they don't know what it is. So they automatically assume it's fire. So I'm used to it. I grew up in the neighborhood. I'm very familiar with Sullivan Scrap. I understand it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone has to feel the same way that I feel about it too as well. I just had to say that piece right there. But thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rivera. Councilor Sullivan?
Yeah, Brian, how long has Sullivan Scrap been at that site?
1973.
Since 73. So well over 50 years they've been there. We've started receiving some complaints in 2024. It is zoned IG. Do also, as far as noise complaints, I get Councilor Rivera's points about the possibility of odors and occasional smoke and stuff. That's a different situation, but do freight trains come through there?
Yes, there's actually a passenger train that goes by at 6:45 every morning.
Yep. And also that's the same track that the freight trains use that come through at 4 in the morning?
I'm not sure of their schedule. A lot of times they're coming through at night now because of the passenger train.
I'm sure they're scheduled because I live in Jones Point and I hear them every night and every morning, so.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent.
Yeah. So for myself, when a company's been operating there for 50 years, and there's also other noises attributed to that site that might not necessarily be emanated from there. And also for the record, my name is Sullivan. I'm in no way related to William Sullivan either, no family connection.
That's good.
But my own opinion is, if we could all just be a little more aware of the situation for the neighbors, but let's not blame everything on a long-standing business either.
Councilor Tessa Murphy-Robillard, did you have your hand up still?
Yes, I did. Thank you. I wanted to actually get some clarification from whoever is, I guess I'm just trying to figure out, I've had residents, I don't know where to direct them at this point. Do they call the police department? If it's at 5:30 in the morning, should they call directly to the business? Should they, because they call me and then I send it to code enforcement, and that's what I thought I should be doing as a counselor. If I need to pick up the phone and call the business every time I get a complaint, I can definitely do that. That's my job. I will do it on behalf of the residents. I am truly not trying to blame a business. Blaming a business is different than holding everyone accountable, that we all have ordinances to abide by. So it's really not fair that we're using the word blame. I don't blame anyone for running their business. All I'm asking is a little respect that we're following city ordinances. If there was enough of an outrage about the noise that came from the siren, which will tell you I voted in favor of bringing the siren back, then we should be holding everyone to the same standard. This is just, it's really frustrating for me as a counselor to get emails at 5:15 in the morning every time it happens. And I'm really not trying to blame a business. I'm just asking for a little bit of accountability. So I do I take some issue with that notion that I'm not, I'm trying to put blame on someone for their own actions as a business. I think that's actually just accountability. And I support the business community. I appreciate this longstanding business. This is not me trying to show any disrespect. I'm just trying to get us all to coexist peacefully, because we do. Even though it's an IG zone, there are residents. So if we can just figure out what the proper protocol is for us as counselors, if residents don't feel comfortable going to the business, or if they've already tried to contact the fire department, or they've tried to contact the police department, my cell phone number is on the website. Like, if someone wants to get in touch with me and give me their contact information so I can let you know directly, I'm happy to do that. I'm just trying to be the voice for people who are not being heard right now. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I respond?
Sure.
I'm very happy to take accountability for the way that we operate our business. I'm happy, counselor, to give you my cell phone number and you can call me directly.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
But the one thing that we're not mind readers. And we do
Sure.
encourage the feedback. We would like to be good neighbors. I can't change the business that we were in, but I think we can all figure out a way to coexist. I really do.
Okay, thank you.
I welcome the feedback. I will give you my cell phone number. You can call me at any time. You can call me at 5:15 in the morning. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Councilor Thalheimer.
Two things. I mean, we do have, one of the things that I have been getting in this email is video from constituents at 5:15, 6 in the morning, with a video showing things in operation. I think we are all in agreement that any work before 7 a.m. is in violation of our current noise ordinances. If this is a special permit that we are looking to pass, or a renewal of a license, can we get the law department to weigh on whether we can attach conditions to it? For example, if we approve this and we approve it with a condition of, if there is a subsequent noise complaint, the permit or the license is revoked. I mean, is that a way that we could hold folks accountable on this? Because you were saying that you were not a mind reader. People haven't told you. I totally get that. But what we are saying is that they are telling us, and they have been telling us for quite some time. So do we have a workable solution forward?
Can I chime in again, too?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's
but
all right.
You said for quite some time.
Yes.
It would be helpful if we got feedback, so this time wouldn't go by where people are getting frustrated. I haven't seen any of those videos. I'm happy to watch them. I'm happy to make changes. I can't do anything about something that I don't know about, right? And to address operating before 7 a.m., I did not personally know we could not operate before 7 a.m. I was under the impression that we could not make noise, significant noise, prior to 7 a.m. Most of what we're doing prior to 7 a.m. is happening inside. That's the change that we made in 2024. We moved the employees inside.
Sure.
Okay. This is also clearly a good point for discussion. Until today, I don't think anybody knew that they could reach out to the business or to you personally. I have been sending these to our Board of Health, which was my understanding, Board of Health, and to enforcement, because that's what my understanding of what this process was. What I saw on those videos is not indoor work, I'm afraid.
I understand that.
And we can connect you with the Board of Health to watch those videos.
The Board of Health never contacted us.
The Board of Health may be working on other pieces as well. There may be other discussions. My understanding is that there may also be environmental concerns in the mix, which is a separate department external to Board of Health, other things, right? But the underlying message is clear, is that this is disturbing the neighborhood and should not continue in this way. This is all I wanted to say on the matter.
Any other comments or questions? Counselor Devine?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. I tend to be with Counselor Sullivan. A business can't make corrections if they don't know that people are complaining about it. So I think it's important. I think the Board of Health is certainly a good place that Counselor Dalheimer went to, but you can call the police too for noise complaints, and they'll take care of it from there.
Counselor Panich?
Yeah, it occurs to me, like, apparently there's a good deal of information that was not shared. And, I too appreciate the invitation to reach out. But this is a license that looks like it gets renewed annually.
Correct.
And it seems to me like we're having the conversation now. And if we can move from here to let's follow all the suggestions, now we're, I think, collectively aware that even though you moved operations inside for the most part, there's still enough noise that people are apparently complaining. And if we can get this addressed and wrapped up within the time between now and the next renewal, great, we're all on board, nothing needs to be done, we just keep renewing. And we can address other solutions if necessary in a year, which is less time than I ever think it is. Does that make sense to everybody?
Counselors Rivera?
Yes, and that does make sense. I think a question I have now is that when we do renewals, when we grant a renewal, are the conditions not sent with the renewal? Because if he said that he never heard about the 7 o'clock thing, that's a policy that somebody agreed to at one point in time from their business. Like,
Well, it's also our ordinances.
and it is our ordinance. For me, I'm graduating with my master's in public administration. Hopefully next month. My understanding is like you should understand the policy that you got to abide by when you're running, like within the business, like especially in a city or the town that you're functioning in. So it's no fault to you when you come on, but I think on our end is when you approve the renewal, are we giving you paperwork letting you know what you got approved every time you get renewed, so that you are aware in the future that these are the policies. So that way you're aware, you're made aware. Because I would say that for me, if you're saying that if this is the city ordinance and say nobody told me, that's not necessarily on us. Yes, people should complain, but if you're operating within a time frame that is not necessarily legal based on city ordinance, that doesn't fall on us, I would say. And residents complaining or reaching out, yes, they should voice their concern and come towards us. But I think for us, it might be trying to figure out what a mitigation or an impact plan can be if things like this arise again in the future. Because I'm not going to vote no for them to not get their renewal. Like, yeah. I'm not going to do that. Just so you know, I'm not going to do that. But ultimately, if it is a concern and it continues to arise, and if something comes, because to me, the noise thing, I'm not a guy about noise. That does not bother me. For me, the asthma concern is what bothers me, and the smells and the potential odors that come out, that could be coming out of that facility. That is what concerns me. And there's a school literally right across the street. That's what I'm concerned about. So I'll go ahead and do more research on that stuff and figure out like how we can best mitigate the issues and the impact, if there is any. But I think a renewal piece and some of what you suggested kind of makes sense. But yeah, I think what Councilor Graney would say is on the order or on the motion, if any.
Sullivan, Councilor Sullivan. You call him Graney.
No, but I'm saying Councilor Graney would say on the motion.
Oh, okay. Except for the chair. The chair has a comment. So the chair has, my only comment is, you're fully aware of it now. That's, as they say on Telemundo, caso cerrado, case closed. So You're fully aware of it now, and you can't say it in the next year. And we are fully aware now who to contact by all the comments that have been made. The police, the Board of Health, all the parties that need to respond to this. And you're fully aware what the ordinance is now. There's no question in our minds at all. There's not going to be I didn't hear about it again, because I heard about it now, and all of us heard about it now. So I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion recommend the renewal of the junk dealer's license for 107 Appleton Street, William F. Sullivan and Company.
Second.
I heard a lot of seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Jeffrey, do we have to do a roll call?
No, you're all here in person.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have the special permit. Thank you for coming.
Not yet. It'll get sent to full council and then we'll vote.
I'm
on it.
sorry.
Full council. No worries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to take up item number 5.
Second.
Motion has been made to take up item number 5, from Shimmerhorn's Restaurant, communication regarding the reconstruction located at 224 Westfield Road, Holyoke. Is the applicant here?
Yes, the applicant is here.
Hi, how
you
are you
doing?
this evening?
Great, how are you?
I'm good.
That was an interesting public hearing before, but this isn't nearly as complicated. So I just want to bring you guys up to speed with what's kind of transpired with us over at Sherman Horns and permitting the signs. We originally got a special permit from the City Council February 18th, 2025. We was brought to our attention that the building department wanted us to file for a separate building
Can I
permit.
just interrupt you for a second? May I ask your name?
Oh, Frank Demarinis.
And you're the owner of the
I'm the
property?
owner of the property.
Thank you, sorry.
It was brought to our attention that the building department wanted a separate permit for the signs. And in that process, I hired an attorney, and he reviewed the ordinance, contacted Jane Menokowski, yep, and said, this is the permitting path. It goes to special permit in front of City Council. And we at that point contacted Michael Bassinet and said, hey, can we do this informally? Just come in with our modify our special permit and not create a public hearing. Attorney Benesetti said, no, we want to create another public hearing, open it up to modify the special permit to allow you to build the signs. So we did that. We went through that entire process. We had engineers, we drew up the plans, we submitted it to City Council, they put it out to subcommittee, subcommittee approved it, went back to City Council, then City Council approved it. So then I'm under the impression, at that point, 2 city solicitors saw this, knew we were trying to get our existing non-conforming signs to rebuild them in place. We're trying to make the situation easier by making them smaller, because everybody wants signs smaller. So we did that. We reduced it to try to accommodate zoning and appease everybody. At that point, we got approval from City Council. I took the package exactly that we got approved from City Council per the purview of 2 city solicitors, that no one raised any other flags, that this isn't the logical path for approval. And my attorney at that too. I submitted for a building permit and it got rejected. No, that permit that you got with City Council means nothing, means 0. You went the wrong way. You need to go to planning board. I'm like, what? So the City Council, you guys have no value, no vote, no authority to approve an existing non-conforming sign that whole structure was under, and it was under the permitting authority? And so now, go down this other path, spend another $20,000 and go in front of the planning board. I want to hear from City Council that, yeah, Frank, yeah, this is the case. because I've permitted in every city in Western Massachusetts. The final permit or a special permit for the city council is a pretty powerful vote. And now I'm going backwards. I gotta go, why did I come to city council at all then? That's what we were directed towards. I just don't get it. I'm disappointed, waste time and money and energy, and I just feel like I'm constantly getting bounced around. And it's not fair. It's not fair.
Councilor Panich.
Yeah, if I may, I'm very sorry for the frustration, but having looked at some of what City Solicitor Madaleski had to say, I think that what happened was miscommunication. And we do not, in fact, as a city council, as I read our zoning ordinance, have the right to approve signs. That is with the planning board. But it should not take you anything like $20,000 to get a special permit from the planning board. If there is nothing difficult about your signs, then you're talking about 10 minutes. You already have them drawn up. As I read the correspondence from your attorney was actually offering to have us review the sign package. We don't have the expertise here. The staff for the planning board knows this backward and forward, and from where I'm sitting, unfortunately, we have the advice of the city solicitor saying pretty firmly that this goes to the planning board. We have the advice of the building department, which is the zoning interpretive authority, that this should go to the planning board. And if I really believed that this was going to be a horrible burden, I would feel differently about it. But I looked at this and I thought, really, the fastest, simplest thing to do is just to take it to the planning board. Again, unless there's something you're concerned about in this sign package that's unusual about it, I find it difficult to believe that it would be any difficulty. You've done all of the work already.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I did the work, now I have to do it again. And I respectfully disagree that I shouldn't be being bounced around in it. We contacted the city solicitor, Jane, prior to the attorney, prior to submitting this. Otherwise, we would have submitted it the other way. And for whatever reason, she chose to take a different take after we got the approval. And Dan from the planning department, or town planner, suggested otherwise. I just feel like I'm getting punched around, and I don't think it's fair. And at this point, I want the city council to know, if you are truly sending me back to the planning board, that the city council, you guys approved those sign modifications or the existing non-conforming, you guys have no value then.
Councilor Rivera.
Thank you. And I too share the sentiment with regards to the frustration and the bouncing around, right? I wouldn't, so the value piece, there's procedure and process, right? And city council can't trump that. You can't trump procedure and process, although I may not agree with it, right? If you're bouncing back and forth, I think that's the main issue we have in the city with regards to any businesses that come in that are applying to permits, or anyone just in general trying to apply for certain permits or do certain things within this community. That is one of the biggest issues we have, right? I think that you shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have to come in front of the planning board now. This all should have been solved the first time, like you said. Unfortunately, that's not what ended up happening, right? And then if the process, and if Jane, the city solicitor's office, reads the language and they see it one way and your lawyer sees it another way.
Well, they saw it two. Now they saw it two ways. First, they agreed with us. This is the permitting path, and now they're disagreeing with themselves. So
I hear you. I hear you on that, and it's not the first time I've heard that. I probably have experienced some of that myself when applying for permits throughout the city itself. But that it still doesn't trump process. So it's not to say that we don't have value. When we approved your permit, and I remember it, that the sign was going to be smaller, all the other stuff, I was like, oh, great, then we don't have to stress it. So that's why, at first I was like, why are we here again? Why are we at this point again? Because I thought we handled this. But then after the clarification and the explanation that technically there was another route that should have taken.
Which I disagree with, and my lawyer disagrees.
I respect that.
And at that time, the
respect
city solicitor disagreed with.
Yeah, no, I respect
So
that.
now it's, okay, it's different now.
Totally respect that. Totally respect all that. Like, that's part of the process. But I think for me, I'd have to lean in favor of whoever is the city solicitor that we're working with now, right? And it's only because we work together, and it's the idea of your lawyer can say whatever he wants, and I have to believe your lawyer?
Yeah, but this is what I'm trying to say, is that the
Like-
city was on board with the permitting process.
I
Now
agree
they're
with
not
you.
on board with it.
I agree with you. I'm
So
not disagreeing with
It's
that.
not like they said, no, just don't do it this, you can't do it this way, and we did it anyways. That's not what happened.
No, I agree with you. I
And-
think
and
that
so
you're
this-
being. I think that you have every right to be upset and feel however you want.
But too
Like,
bad.
But there's nothing. But so you want someone to just jump over process?
No, we followed the correct process.
No, but we obviously didn't in the process, right? Someone dropped the ball somewhere, and it has to be corrected now. Do you want it not to be corrected, or do we want us to do a special permit and just go through our own process to correct it for you? Is that what you're asking for?
No, all I'm
'Cause that's
asking
what it
for,
feels like.
honestly, I'm asking for you guys to make a decision, irregardless to what the lawyers are telling you to do. You're city council. You are elected officials.
We are part-time employees,
You
but-
need to make a determination. Say, hey, wait a sec. This is wrong. What we did to this applicant.
Councilor Panich.
Yeah, no, I think that there's a material mistake of fact going on here, which is that you did probably need to do the permit for the nonconformance, but you also need to do the permit for the signs. They are two different special permits.
One's done by us and the other one's done by the planning. And so, to make it clear, we actually have Mike Bessinet, our city solicitor, here. Would you like to hear his
Sure.
legal opinion now?
Yeah.
Mike, are you available?
His hand is up.
I'd love to hear your voice. I know you hate my
Hello,
voice.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for coming along.
I wanted to make a couple of notes in this discussion for the committee to consider. First of all, this case and another one that you'll be receiving shortly concerning a special permit has to do with pre-existing signs that do not conform with the current sign ordinance and were erected, established, before that went into effect. Most of us familiar with this establishment certainly know that that was the case with Sherman. It also is the case in other situations. The next one, I believe, involves the new bank on Hampton that will be seeking some guidance about where to put the sign and whether it conforms. What we have is a situation where the interpretation is now that pre-existing signs changed in any shape, form, content, must go through the special permit process with the planning board. So I believe that there was some type of misinterpretation about what was happening here. I am hopeful that this is not the sole thing that's holding up Schermerhorn's from opening, and I hope that that the petitioner tonight could shed some light on that. But I agree with Councilor Page. This is a very minor matter. You're only looking to reduce the pre-existing non-conforming signage anyway, so I don't think it'll take more than the 10 minutes we talked about. And one of the staff has suggested tonight that perhaps it'd be appropriate to recognize how this has played out by having the city cover the notice costs for abutters and for printing in the newspaper for the notice for the planning board. Just a suggestion, but I think we'd all like to see this get moved along quickly. Thanks very much, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Thank you for your input.
Thank you.
Okay.
So in summary, Frank, go file with the planning board. Is that what you're telling me.
That's what everybody's telling me, and I unfortunately have to say that. And you just heard it right from him that he's going to help you out with that process and make it as less painful as possible.
Yeah. I just hope that the city can find a more clear path for applicants when it comes down to this, because it was not right.
And sorry that we had to hear the lesson that we had to learn from you. Sorry about that. That's terrible.
Thank you for the apology.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Item number 6.
Motion to take up item number 6.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 6 is from Counselor Murphy Robillard. Did you say something, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was a motion on that last item.
We'll make a motion now. Let's do that.
Motion,
Complied with
It was a communication motion that's been received.
and complied with.
no, that's-
Second.
All those in favor?
All right,
aye.
And so it is.
For what it's worth.
We had a motion and seconded for item number 6
That's what Jane had to say.
filed by Counselor Murphy Robiletti, ordered that the city council approve the resolution for the Certified Housing Development Incentive Program project, including a local tax increment exemption, TIE, agreement with 103 Lyman LLC for the downtown market rate housing development at 103, 105 Lyman Street, Assessors Map 037, Block 05, parcel number 007, and it was referred back to committee. And does anybody remember why it was? You remember?
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Was it the parking?
Um,
We have the
we have the
applicant.
applicant.
We have the applicant. Would you like to speak, Mr. Blah? Sorry if I said your name wrong.
No, that's fine, that's fine. Good evening, thank you, Chair. So I'm not sure, I think it was sent back because of the parking that was briefly discussed on the previous meeting. And I'm happy, I did some more clarifications for the parking, and I'm happy to discuss this again. So first of all, I did want to give a little bit of feedback again. I believe the City Council also wanted to know a little bit more on our background and progress that we're doing with our other development, as the council's aware about an open square. So I did want to talk a little bit about more what we do as developers and where our progress is on the open square project. So on the open square project, number one, we are deep in the middle of, we did all the framing interior work, and we're in the middle of roughings of the plumbing and mechanicals and electricals. And we hope in the next couple of months to start closing out the walls and start doing the site work now when the weather becomes better. So we are progressing at a very fast-paced speed and overperforming on our schedule so far. So all I want to say is we're committed to the city and to these developments to do it at a fast pace and actually get it to the finish line and to benefit the city the most possible. And then in regards to what we want to do at 103 Lyman, as we discussed, that we are planning just to redevelop this abandoned site. It was abandoned already since early 2000s, from when there was a fire in the building, and it's just sitting there vacant. And I'm sure everybody in the city wants to see that redeveloped. It's a smaller project for us, which is going to be 12 units, just reconstructing the 3 floors that is currently on the site. And we are planning to do it fairly quickly. We've already started with the process of engineering, civil engineering, architectural work, so we can get to the planning board and then through the building department's process quickly. So we can do that development to get it done within a year and a half project to completion, so it can be done fairly quickly. And I believe the only question that was outstanding was mainly on the parking, and I'm happy to answer anything else. And just to touch base on what we discussed in the parking is that obviously we are going to go through the full parking regulation by the planning board by doing the site plan approval with planning. And Our civil is currently working on that, and we will be at the planning board to get that application through with the parking, so I'm sure that will be dealt with. We have a couple of options in mind with parking. So number one, we own the property next door, which is the 93 alignment, which on the right side of that, there is a fair amount of additional parking, which that building doesn't use. So we can utilize that for 103 alignment as well, which is right next door. And actually, both sides of that building, there's parking. On the right side of that building, there's a lot of parking, like a nice parking lot. And on the left side, there is some more spots, but it's not fully paved, and we are prepared to repave that and make sure we get additional spots over there on the left side. So that will be between both buildings, 103 and 93. In addition to that, we do have the properties on Open Square, which is right across, and 111 Lyman, which we have additional parking that we can propose over there to help out with the parking congestion and concern. And I'm sure there are certain parking reductions, similar to what we did on our previous projects, which we could discuss, and we will discuss during our site plan approval. So I believe there's multiple options that we could work on the parking, and we're here to work with the city, like we did with the previous projects, and continue our relationship. And we will resolve that during our site plan approval, but there's definitely a couple of options. We'll make sure to accommodate that parking piece.
Councilor Rivera.
Thank you for that. For me, I'm speaking up because my concern was not parking. My concern and the reason why I had voted no was mostly specifically around community outreach and community impact. That building has been, I want to say, it burned down probably when I was like a freshman in high school. And it's been empty since. This was maybe 2001, 2002-ish, maybe a little earlier than that. But bringing that building back online, although it would be great for the city and it would be tax revenue, I mean, probably paying taxes already on it anyways, but I think the idea for me is what is the community impact and what is the outreach that has been done within that community specifically? That's why I had voted no on it before, because I didn't hear anything around that. To me, the conversation is that community's AMI, average median income, hovers probably around the $14,000 to $15,000 to $16,000 range is my understanding. And when you're doing improvement in that community and you're, I don't know what type of improvement is going to be done, right? Like, are you bringing like high value apartments? Is it going to be low income, subsidized? It's just an understanding of what the project is going to be. Because for me, it's too many times that just comes to the table that we just are expected to vote on things without knowing an actual background as to what's being delivered. So for me, the no vote came from not necessarily having a familiarity with the project. And to be honest, public has been coming down hard on us on situations like that, right? Like not having the questions, not actually coming forward and making sure that we're asking the right questions to whoever's developing or bringing something to the community. So for me, that is where I stood with and why I voted no. Parking is the least of my concerns. I think for me, it's what is the impact of that in the community and what do you expect to bring to the community? And for me, I wanted to hear that from you guys and what you guys were doing. And also on behalf of the city. Like, what do we expect from this too as well? And I hadn't heard that, so that's why for me I voted no. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilor Sullivan.
Yeah. So as far as an adjacent building having spots that they're not using, that doesn't change the requirement for having that number of spaces for each separate property. So, and to right now, I don't understand why we're looking to do we don't even have site plan approval from the planning board for this project, yet we're trying to go forward and get a tax incremental financing package put together on it. So I'd like to, especially from what I can see with the initial plans given to us, that I'd really like to see site plan approval before I go much further with this.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chair?
I'm sorry, Tessa. I didn't see your hand. You may speak.
No, no, no,
guys.
it's okay. Trust me, I understand. I just wanted to, if I may, offer a little of my own perspective. When this all got sent back to committee, I was super confused because like it says in the order that it's for market rate housing. So I thought that people like understood I understand people might not be super familiar with what a tax increment exemption is versus the HDIP program. But like I used to actually help applicants, when I worked at City Hall, I helped applicants apply for the HDIP program. And that is a incentive program with the state. And at that time, I worked on the project that the Qubit started for their market rate housing. And they were the first in the city to get the HDIP approved by the city council and the state. And at that time, they needed that approval early on in the process, and I don't know if it's changed, so I don't know if this is actually a question for Eric Nakajima, who I thought I saw in the audience before, but I think my understanding is that you have to get this kind of approval early on in the process because it's sort of like you're trying to change the oil on your car while you're driving on the freeway, if that's a decent analogy here, but like, a bank's not going to finance a project necessarily if they don't have that, or, you're not able to get to certain steps in the development process unless the city can demonstrate that it's offering this. So I was just curious if that's still similar. I was a little surprised that this got sent back to committee, but I obviously don't want the council to vote on anything that they don't feel comfortable on. But in economic development, it's really important when you're trying to rebuild a downtown like we are, that you have a mix of housing. And so it can't all be affordable, low-income housing. It can't all be market rate housing. There has to be a mix. And some might argue, I've heard people argue that we've got way too much affordable housing going on. And then I hear other people argue that we've got way too much market rate housing going on. I actually kind of feel like there's a way to balance it out. And so I guess I would urge my colleagues to just maybe reach out to the Economic Development Office if you have more questions on this whole HDIP process. I felt like I got a picture of what was being presented, but I also recognize that I have a different background, and when the city council approved the Qubit, it was still at the early stages, and it's turned into a really great building where, it's not homeownership opportunities necessarily, but it is rental. And so yeah, just for what it's worth, I didn't know if Eric, you wanted to add anything. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. So thanks everyone for letting me ramble a little. I love economic development.
Thank you, Madam President. Eric Nakajima from the, Mr. Blah, we'll get right back to you in 2 seconds. We have the OPED director here to give his say on it.
Eric Nakajima, Director of Planning and Economic Development for City of Holyoke. And if the City Council President wants me to speak and the Chair concurs, I'm more than happy to. It is not at all unusual for projects to seek financing and start, accumulating. Actually, perfect example of this, by the way, would be Victory Theater, a few blocks away from us, has been stacking various grants, historic tax credits, and subsidies for years in anticipation of being able to complete Victory Theater. Similarly, the two I don't know, I'm blanking, 219 Appleton? 216? Which? 216 Appleton, the wind development. Similarly was stacking historic tax credits for a long time before they were able to conclude that project. They're similarly doing that right now. So there's nothing unusual about seeking out financing prior to going through the approval process for development. And in fact, of course, the key point there would be that approving the local portion of the tax credit doesn't in any way prejudice the process that it has to go through for other permits and approvals from the city, where you can continue and should, of course, hold the developer's feet to the fire. I think one of the other key elements of it, which is really important in terms of any fiscal risk to the city, is that one, applying for the Housing Development Incentive Program credit is very competitive. So the city's been very successful to date in applying for them, but there's no guarantee that the city would receive it. A. B. Both the city portion and also the state portion of the tax credit is not actually drawn upon until there's a certificate of occupancy and the project is completed. So the developer actually, despite the incentive being received, despite the fact that they can then layer that in to the financing that they're receiving for the project, they actually do not take any benefit of either the local tax increment exemption or the state tax credit until they finish the project and they deliver a building that's actually performing in accordance to all the requirements that either the planning board or the council others have placed upon it, as well as the state. So there's actually no present risk to the city if for some reason they fail to perform. So that'd be my 2 cents.
Thank you for your great input. I understood everything you said. And I just as a point of information, I don't want anybody to change their oil while they're driving down the road. Mr. Blah had his hand up. You have your hand up. Mr. Blah, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong.
No, that's fine. So I believe like what Councilor Tessa said, and Eric, that's correct. What we're seeking is, we did similar to our previous projects. Getting approval for the tie agreement is a very early stage. Obviously, after we do that, we put the remainder of the financing together, and then is when we go through the site plan approval and we address all the concerns and everything, and then it goes to the other departments and to the building department for approval. So this is a very early stage of just getting the tie agreement approved so we can align our financing, and from then we take it with further financing until development. And what Eric said is correct. We're only getting it signed, but we're not actually going to be able to benefit of it until certificate of completion, when the project is completed.
Thank you very much. Councilor Tessa Murphy, I'm sorry, Mr. Katz. Did you have something to say?
Yeah, hi. I meant to put my hand down, sir.
I'm sorry, thank you. Mr. Katz, I apologize.
Yes, hi. First of all, thank you for taking up our item on the agenda today. So basically, I'm the one in charge on getting the TIE, and I've been working with Lynn Sweet to get the HDIP. In order to get HDIP, as Tessa mentioned earlier, is you need to get the tie agreement in order to apply for HDIP. To make any sense out of this project, we will need to, even for market rate, we will need to get HDIP. We will need to get some kind of tax credits and stuff to make it work. Otherwise, there's no way the rent should make sense to cover the investment part. Like there's no bank would give us financing without any help from either the tie and the HDIP. So the process that we did last time with the Open Square, and this is how Lynn Sweet, and she's the consultant for the city for any development to get grants and stuff. And that's the process she always puts forward, is apply for a tie and HDIP and then go for planning and zoning to get everything approved.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Sullivan.
Yeah, thank you. When did you first acquire this building?
It was in 2023. I acquired it together with the next door 93 Lyman. I did not have any plans back then what to do with it. It was just was the same deal. I bought 93 Lyman, and the owner also owned that burnt down building. So he asked a little bit more. He's selling me that as well. Later on, I met a few times and got an Open Square with Aaron Vega. And he mentioned a few times, what doing with that burnt down building, 103 Lyman, why don't you develop it? And we're like, it doesn't make sense for the numbers. He was like, how about you try with age dip and any other kind of grants or stuff. So that's when we spoke to Lynn. We decided we're going to first finish up the open square project, and once we're done with that, we'll move forward with the 103 Lime project.
Is that it?
Okay, so, yes.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
So I would make a motion to approve the agreement with the following terms, that all taxes are current and all vacant building fees are paid.
Is there a second? I got a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sir, we're sending it back to the city council for approval. Mr. Katz?
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great evening.
You too. Thanks. So.
Thank you, Chair.
Want to take those out of order so you don't have to keep sitting there.
What is the will of the body? Would you like to take item number 10?
Sure.
10,
All right. Do we want to take them as a package, or?
10 and 11.
Yeah.
So I would make a motion that we take item number 10 and number 11 out of order
All those in
as a
favor?
package.
Aye.
Aye. Councilor Rivera, where are you? Did he leave? Did he go back online yet? This is his order. Item number 10 is an order that the Kestrel Land Trust, the Conservation Department, and a representative of the Planning Board be invited to appear before the Development Government Relations Committee to provide a comprehensive walkthrough of the steps, requirements, and processes necessary to designate Elmwood Forest, in quotations, as a conservation land. Said presentation should include legal and regulatory requirements for conservation designation, any environmental assessments or studies needed, potential impacts on land use, zoning, and stewardship responsibilities, available conservation tools or partnerships, preliminary timelines, and cost considerations. I'll read item number 11 into the record. Filed by Councilor Panich and Councilor Thalmeyer, order that HEDIC or its representatives provide the council an update on the status of the 2 land parcels on Whiting Farms Road currently under contract to Cesar Reese and or USA International Sports Complex Group, including information about how long the litigation is likely to last and how the parcel will be managed from the city should the city acquire it. Tabled on 3/23/26. So we don't have the Kestrel, we have a letter from the Kestrel Land Trust. We do not have the Conservation Department, and a representative from the Planning Board is not here. And the reason they're not here is because we're acting on legal opinion from our city solicitor. You got a counselor?
Would you like me to read?
Sure. You want me to read that? I'll read it.
Yeah.
I'm going to read the Kestrel Land Trust. You got it? You read yours. Then I don't have to dig through my paper. Thank you. Because it's at the bottom of the stack. I didn't want to dig through it. This is a letter from the Kestrel Land Trust. And he sent the email to Jeffrey Burgos, Anderson Burgos, our council assistant. And a few notes while I'm thinking about them. I visited Elmwood Forest years ago and felt the land could be worth conserving, especially for the benefit of its surrounding neighborhoods. However, the small size of the parcels and their mixed ownership pose real challenges. Thus, specific size and ownership attributes make it extremely unlikely that the project would meet the eligibility criteria or rank highly or for outside and or private conservation funding. Also note that many funding sources require public access to the conserved land, not limited to the adjacent landowners, I apologize, which was stumbling block for the Elmwood in the past. That being said, the most concrete step forward would be for the city itself to determine the conserving Elmwood forest is a priority and it is willing to commit to resources towards the effort. City-controlled Community Preservation Act funding is both flexible and well-suited for acquiring private land for conservation purposes. City leadership may also consider dedicating property that the city already owns to open space or park purposes under Article 97 of the state constitution, which affords the land ample protection. You would need to check with the city solicitor about how that process might unfold given the specific ownership situation of the city's Elmwood parcels. If the city decides to pursue any of these avenues, Kestrel would be happy to participate in the discussion and may be able to provide additional assistance if the needs arise. Best wishes, Mark Wamsley, Conservation Director of the Kestrel Land Trust. Thank you.
Yeah. If I may.
You may.
So, so that we're all clear on this, right? This particular parcel is not owned by the city. It is in land court. It's been in land court for quite a few years. It could be there for quite a few more years. So any discussion right now about open space, park purposes, or use of CDBG or CPA funds or any of this is extremely premature, all right? And I would emphasize what it does say in the Kestrel letter. It makes it extremely unlikely that the project would meet the eligibility criteria or rank highly for outside and or private conservation funding. All right? So there, as far as I can see, and I invite Attorney Bissonnette, if he wants to comment on this portion of it, which is not involved in any litigation, if we're on point here as far as the land court piece and this letter from Kestrel.
Councilor Bissonnette, are you available? Attorney Councilor Bissonnette, are you available?
And Mr. Chairman, but as you indicated before, the law department is not going to be issuing or responding to anything this evening due to the lawsuit brought against the city by residents concerning the Elmwood Forest. So, well, I appreciate the opportunity, Councilor Sullivan. I just don't feel it would be appropriate given the circumstances.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Bissonnette, City Solicitor.
Yeah.
But they had their hands up first.
Well,
You had your hand up.
I do, because it ends in my order at number 11, but it is also Izzy's order at number 10, and I will defer to him if he wants to go first.
Councilor Rivera, your hand is up and you've been handed the torch.
Thank you. I'd like to apologize. I had to step out. I had a prior engagement, but I'm still here on Zoom. I think I was made aware that around the lawsuit and how department heads weren't able to come. I thank Kestrel Land Trust for giving us the letter and kind of like informing us of their position on this particular position. I am a little disappointed regarding the city's behalf, not being able to. I understand the lawsuit, but there had to have been research or something done to lead to some form of decision as to where things at. And when I filed the order, the concept was to bring and speak up on those particular items. Nothing that has to do with litigation. But if that stuff has to do with litigation as well, then I fully understand it. But I think for me, when information or research is gathered to create a decision or come up with a decision, and it's from the public, technically, it's probably, to my understanding, it should be public information. And it's different, I think, but I'm not a lawyer, so that's not up to me. But I thank you guys for taking up the order. I hope constituents that are there are able to at least get some questions answered, to the best of the abilities that people can answer them. But again, thank you for taking up the order.
Councilor Panich.
Thank you. I too am disappointed that we're not hearing more from the city, although I understand the position that everyone is in. I do want to note here that we're also talking about the parcels that are under contract still to Cesar Ruiz. We believed when we filed this order that that purchase and sale agreement was going to expire in March. I believe that, along with a great deal of the community, troubled at the fact that under executive session it got extended for another year, rather than coming back to a place where the city could talk about it. And, I do recognize that it's been for sale for a very long time. I recognize that HEDIC may have believed that because it is somehow, it is labeled industrial. It is in an IP zone. This does not mean that any commercial use there is good. And in fact, my read of the zoning ordinance and others' read of the zoning ordinance is that you could not put a sports complex there, which, I cannot fault neighbors for not being alert to the possibility that if they didn't move first, a sports complex would go there, because a sports complex cannot go there until or unless that zoning is changed. But I think that on behalf of the residents who have taken quite a lot of their time now and quite a lot of their life force to organize and to not only make this a neighborhood concern, but a citywide concern. There's advocacy now for small pocket parks and trees, which are immensely valuable, as it turns out, to a community, all over downtown Holyoke that was not there before they began their work. But if it is possible for the HEDIC representatives here before us to tell us anything about how that decision was made and whether there will be a point at which the neighborhood can rest easy because it has finally expired, I'm guessing that they would be grateful to hear it.
And it'll be right after Councilor Thalheimer.
Oh, thanks. Are you good? I didn't want to cut you off.
Oh, no.
Okay. I want to echo all the things that Councilor Panich just said. This is my ward. This is an issue that I've been working on prior to being elected. I think the fact that we have residents from not just Ward 3, but from the neighborhood directly impacted from it, who come over and over and over to these meetings, the opportunity for them not to be heard at HEDIC is a bummer. I find that really distressing, particularly around how much of this has been done without input from the neighborhood, not pulling in the residents, not engaging in that way. That seems to be a process that is really crucially important, particularly now. I do understand that there are 5, some people say 6 because that 012 bit is in with those IP parcels, whatever. We're talking about 5 major parcels interconnected. One of them is land court. 2 of them are the HEDIC parcels. 1 is owned by Parks and Rec, and 1 is owned outright by the developer. It is clear that the neighborhood is very dedicated to not having a sports complex in that space. I agree with them. It is an inappropriate location for this kind of development. And as Kestrel points out in their letter, there are complications for conservation as well as for development. What is crucial in this is that the neighborhood has to be involved and has not been in any substantial way. And that seems to me a subversion of the democratic process. That feels really, really important to note at this point. I do know that in recent discussions, HEDIC did extend the sale, the option to purchase for 1 more year until March 2027. And this is in part concerning for a number of reasons. particularly around development in the city. There's a lot of uncertainty. There is a lot of confusion. There are other concerns about this particular developer at other locations in the city, particularly around things like noise and, from my understanding in the work in public safety, is not being a particularly good neighbor. So all of these things are not just of concern, but are of heightened concern, particularly now. I thank Councilor Rivera for bringing his order forward, and I too am disappointed that we're not able to have that substantive discussion, including conservation, including the planning board. And I do thank Kestrel for their input, particularly given how Kestrel in past years has been treated by members of this body. I think it's important to note that, and their willingness to continue to work with us. I do think there are possibilities for conservation. It's tricky, but it requires, I think, a good faith effort on all parts. And until the citizen lawsuit is resolved, this is going to kind of be in limbo. We cannot have that discussion with city entities given the legal ramifications. And it's disappointing, but I understand it. Thank you for letting me talk a little bit at length with this, and I would welcome folks from Heddick. I know we've got folks in the chambers. I mean no disrespect by this. I just want to blow this up and make it as transparent as possible, because the folks I represent have not had that yet, and I really want to give voice to that. Thank you.
Councilor Panich.
Yeah. I just wanted to note here that although I too find it disappointing that Councilor Rivera's order cannot at the moment move forward as framed, I am working on, and I think that probably others will be working with me, in order to open this conversation up as to how we can go about protecting this kind of space elsewhere in the city and encouraging green space throughout downtown, which turns out to have a number of extremely important social implications, as well as just being a pleasure to have. So I hope that this is not the end of his order, precisely.
And I have been notified that former city council president, emeritus, I'll just call him that, is from the HEDIC organization, is here to speak on behalf of the HEDIC for his particular order number 11.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for the record, Joe McGivern, resident of Ward 3, and a proud former member of the City Council, but even more proud, or maybe not more, but a proud member of the Holyoke Economic Industrial Corporation itself. If I could just offer some clarification to begin, because I think there is some confusion about the role of HEDIC. I think there's some confusion about the process that's been taking place for several years now. I have been a member of HEDIC since 1990-91. Our mayor, Martin Dunn, was holding the seat for the city, which is known as the seat that represents all of government. When at that time, Bill Hamilton won the special election. He came to me and asked me, because I was sitting there as the acting mayor, to stay on HEDIC, which I chose and have been chosen by every mayor since then to remain as that position on HEDIC. HEDIC is, if you don't know, operates under Mass General Laws 121C. It's a corporation that this city, going back to the 1970s, established through that Mass General Law. Mayor Prue, Ernie Prue, was the mayor at the time. He established it. It took 2/3 of the city council to agree to it. It's a economic enhancement, economic development tool, a tool for the city council, a tool for our mayor, a tool for the Economic Development Office, now known as Planning and Development Office itself. And that's the purpose of HEDIC. I felt bad as a city councilor when the residents wanted to speak in front of HEDIC because we had no mechanism, and we talked about this later with the law department, to allow that to happen. We don't have the ability for public speakouts unless we're having a public hearing itself. It's a little bit different. I encourage and understand public speakouts with the city council, and I understand, even though time-consuming, how important they are to residents. But that doesn't mean we did not listen to them. It doesn't mean we did not listen and confer with the law department. We are a tool, and I just have to take 1 minute and tell you, John Dijak has been done every job in the Economic Development Office itself. I think he's doing every job right now because there's a little staffing issue and there's no one else available, and it's just incredible. But I've worked with 3 directors, and I just welcomed the man sitting behind me, Eric Nakajimi, as their new director for this city. A tremendous pickup and a tremendous plus for Holyoke, and I think nothing but good, positive economic development and planning is going to come through this man in that office as we look into the future itself. So with that in mind, that's part of the answer, I think, to Ann's question about talking to the residents and trying to get an understanding of what's going on. We are not here. Now, HEDIC does not oversee the office. We pay for some staff over the years. We have a history of that. The redevelopment authority is now trying to pay for some of the staffing that we use to do our job as HEDIC. And HEDIC is a little different than redevelopment authority. We can't do residential. We have a little flexibility with commercial, but we're mostly industrial, which manufacturing in the United States is kind of hard to develop and to encourage because everybody let manufacturing years ago go overseas, which is a sad story. But what we can do is make an economic development plan, which we have, and we're only going to speak about the 11 acres on Whiting Farms Road. The history goes back to 2001, when the Holyoke Gas and Electric, with the permission of the city, because they had the bond, purchased the Hadley Falls Dam. With that, Mayor Sullivan at the time, not related to this Sullivan sitting with you, at the time insisted that the parcels of land owned by Northeast Utilities that were offered were taken as a package because he wanted those parcels to be developed because they'd sat there vacant for many years. A year later, Gas and Electric came to HEDIC with the City Council's approval and said, we would like to make an agreement to have HEDIC market and try to find developers and purchasers of this property, for future use that would benefit the city in economic development, meaning new property tax, new jobs, and so forth and so on. We're a city. We are always going to have problems, because this city is so old. It's I always like to tell Mimi and the planning board is, how can there be spot zoning in Holyoke when we were a spot zone to begin with? If you just look at the way this city was designed, it was because people walked to work, walked to the market, walked to their commercial, to everything. Everything coexisted in each neighborhood. But not to get off on a tangent, the agreement with the Gas and Electric, we took 5 parcels. HEDIC, the agreement was to buy the parcels, to market them, but HEDIC would get the money, once it was sold, HEDIC would get the money back that they paid for the parcel. The Gas and Electric held a mortgage on each parcel. They would get their money back. And with any additional profit, if HEDIC got, above and beyond the agreed upon purchase prices, HEDIC would get 5%, the Gas and Electric would get 95%. That's important because we're all ratepayers here in the Gas and Electric. We all pay our gas and electric bills. We know how important that is to us, how cheap it is to get gas and electric into our homes, into our businesses, to use it as attracting new business, to keeping business. It's so important. We get the best gas and electric department in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and they make us the greenest city in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and that's got nothing to do with St. Patrick's Day. But look around. I mean, we have hydropower. Nobody has hydropower in Massachusetts like we do. We have potential for wind power, which I don't think is going to happen, but it could happen. And we are incredible towards that effort. And I know my friend here, Mike Sullivan, is big about attracting green energy and companies to come into Holyoke, because that is the future, and that's what we've all been trying to do. And I mean, I love Holyoke. You get in your car in 10 minutes, you're on top of Mount Tom. What conservation land that's unbelievable in acres. No one in the Commonwealth has that per capita for what we have. So of the 5 parcels that we took from the Gas and Electric, 4 of them were sold, developed, and they worked out, pretty good for both the Gas and Electric and for HEDIC. This 11-acre parcel is difficult. The topography of the parcel, I'm sure most of you know, it's very steep. If you go up Whiting Farms Road, in the immediate frontage, it's like climbing the side of Mount Tom. It's almost, one developer wanted to put a winding road there and a 4-story office building. And that would have been nice. There would have been a lot of good jobs, a lot of good taxpayers, and I think it would have been quiet. And a lot of office buildings can be fit into a green neighborhood type situation, forest, as they do down south. But that fell through, and I think part of it was the financing, and part of it was getting up to the top of it. There are some issues with even when you get up to the top, flatter parts of it, with developing it because of topography and not so much environmental concerns, but being able to dig into the ground and being able to do it correctly with all the ledge that is up there. So another developer came to Heedick, and with the city's permission, we subdivided the 11 acres. And this is where it gets a little confusing, because it's 2 parcels, but we also carved out extra room for Sullivan Road coming into that parcel. And that's just because Sullivan Road is behind University Plastics, and it comes in, it's a city road, but you drive up there, you think it's the back door to University Plastics. And there's on 9 Sullivan around the corner, there's another building. And the most best kept secret in Holyoke is ISO New England is most of what the industrial park is. I mean, it's incredible that the power of grid of New England coming through us, through the city of Holyoke, is there, and nobody even understands what that's really about and how important it is, I think, to New England, but also to the city of Holyoke. So we were approached two years ago, I think it was in end of 2023, end of 2024, by the International Sports Complex, with the caveat that they thought they could get the Volleyball Hall of Fame to move onto their would-be newly acquired property. A purchase and sale was entered into. The purchase and sale was for 2 years to allow them to develop it, kind of an extended period of time, but again, we've been looking at this piece of property now for multiple, well over close to, a decade and a half, if not more. And it's been very difficult to market. Why does the gas and electric, I'm not going to speak for them, but why do they want this property to be sold and hopefully for good use for the city, is because they're still paying the bond for the dam. We, the ratepayers, are still paying the bond for the dam. When any of these properties are sold, the money goes back in, they can use it to pay down the bond, they can use it to do other things to help the ratepayers of the gas and electric itself. So we're making sense. Sometimes Heedick will get into it with a developer and become a partner. Sometimes Heedick will be the developer themselves. We're not playing that role here, okay? We clearly told this developer that, this is industrial park. We're not the planning board. You're going to have to go through, a query with your attorneys, with the planning board, to make sure you got the right zoning. You may have to go through other special permit processes. You may have to go through public hearings with the neighborhood. And in the beginning, it was only about the 11 acres. Maybe half a year later, the same developer purchased Wyckoff, as we all know. There's a little bit of concern there, because we're saying, well, wait a minute. Now you're talking about putting the Volleyball Hall of Fame somewhere else, and we were clearly told no. And there's no done deal. We're just exploring what our options would be. So Heedick, went to him. We had a non-refundable $50,000 deposit after March of this year, John? Last year, March of 2025. Which it should have been returned, we should have been given to us, because he extended past that date, and it was not that. More recently, we did get a request to extend it for 1 year. The purpose of executive session by Mass General Law is to go in, and when you can talk freely with a negotiation that could deal real estate, property exchange, and or other things that could be of a sensitive nature, if you let the other side, the negotiation, understand where you're coming from and what you want to offer. And what we offered was we will extend it for a year, but there's a price to pay. We want that $50,000 so we can use it, and the gas and electric will get some of that so that they can use it for the purposes of what I've been saying. And that's where we are. We have no involvement. I don't see any intention to have any involvement with the other properties that were talked about tonight. I think even one of the meetings, Councilor Sullivan, told Mr. Relez, you're not going to, even if you bought those properties, you don't think you're just going to develop them without, a lot of different processes through the city, including zone changes and whatever. So we've been upfront with the developer. We're trying to do the right thing for all the residents of Holyoke. I respect, my fellow neighbors, in many ways. I'll tell you one funny story, and I gotta stop because this meeting's too long, Mr. Chairman. I'm a Ward 4 guy, but my mother grew up on Glen Street, so she's an Elmwood girl. I was actually baptized at the Round Church. And my mom, very proud Elmwood girl, we ended up down on Beach Street in Ward 4 for family reasons, and it was all good. But when Jenny and I bought our home up on Downing Avenue, up the top of, I always called it the Great Lakes, neighborhood. I said to my neighbor Eileen, Eileen, what do they call it up here? I'm from Ward 4. There's Elmwood, there's Oakdale, there's the Highlands. She goes, oh, Joe, this is Elmwood Heights. I said, don't ever tell my mother I moved to Elmwood Heights, because I would not live that one down. But it's a great neighborhood, it's a great city, and I understand everybody and where they're coming from. But if I can answer any questions for Hedek, I'd be happy to. And I know Eric and John are here to answer any questions they can, but only about the industrial parkland that's existed now for some time.
Thank you. That really enlightened me. And thank you for the shout out to Ward 4.
Yes.
Richard, once you're Ward 4, you're always Ward 4.
So,
We have a question, Joe, I think.
so,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, may I make a motion to invite the public to ask questions?
There's been a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye,
Does the public have any questions? Please,
please.
just say your name, and if you're in Ward 4, you're really welcome. I'm kidding.
I'm Carrie Schoeffel. I am from Ward 3 on Woodland Street. And did I understand you correctly? You just now got the $50,000 that was owed a year ago?
Sorry, just for the record. No, you can say.
That was my only question.
That is correct. And the minutes have been released from the executive session because it was the only thing talked. In the regular session, we announced the vote that we took that evening, and those minutes are released and should be available. But the video, I don't know how the videos get posted. And I do have a question about videos on the city website. For years I said, with all the hours we spend in this room, and we're on Holyoke Media, we're on TV and public access, we should be selling commercial time. Now someone came up with YouTube, and there are commercials on YouTube with our meetings. I hope you're getting some money for that.
Yeah. So I did have one question, which is basically, I understand completely why you would be marketing this property and the benefit from the city should it be sold and developed in some way that the community feels is beneficial. But is there any mechanism by which the community can get a look at what is being proposed for any land that Hedek still is marketing on behalf of any entity, so that there can be some feedback about, yes, here is the purpose for which it was transferred to you all for marketing 19 years ago or whatever, but there may be shifts in the city's policy or in the city's idea of what should be done with a parcel. And I think a great deal of what's happened could have been averted if people had really focused in advance and known where to look. Because, once people understood that what was supposed to go in there was a sports complex, there was an explosion heard throughout the city. And I think people just didn't realize in advance that that was even a possibility. Probably the office building would not have been nearly as explosive because, we have the example of the People's Bank building up at Whitney, which is, beautiful and quiet.
Understood. I'm not too sure, Counselor, I'm not too sure how to answer.
Yeah.
Again, the zoning, you start with the zoning, it is industrial park. You look at the entire park itself, although I think I would call ISO more commercial or maybe there's a different term for what they really are. But, you know, there's been 3 manufacturers in that park over the years. The only one left is University Plastics. And this part of the land has always been zoned as part of that industrial park. We actually had a similar case down with the, wasn't as big. I think it was only about 2 or 3 acres down off of Springdale in the industrial park down there. You know, where the neighborhood, you know, across the street neighborhood were concerned about what was going to happen with that. And they ended up with some negotiations and some work with a solar field park, you know, at that place, which I think I'd rather an office building than a solar field across from my house. But, you know, that's you know, something. Yeah. But this one's a bit unusual because even if HEDIC was involved with we can ask about the use and we can try to steer what the use would be to a potential buyer. But as you know, the zoning is what really dictates the use, not HEDIC, not so much the city council, unless you need a special permit or a zone change or other permits and licenses as we all understand. So it's in this particular case, we would probably have to return the parcel to the gas and electric because it's not a proposed industrial use. And that's something that we have to be careful of because we like I said, we have some flexibility with commercial, but we have to be real careful with non-industrial use. We developed, my favorite one was the Marox company, which is up across from the People's Building on Whitney. It's a new company name now, but it was the largest dental industrial manufacturer on the East Coast. Freddie Rosenkrantz, who came over from Sweden with Atlas Copco, had owned the company in Springfield and wanted it for his sons for their future. And Dominic Sarno, my good friend, the mayor, wanted a baseball field. So he took the company by eminent domain and said, "You're getting out of here because I'm building a baseball field." Fred came to some of the people in the powers to be in Hoyoke and said, "What do you got available?" And he built that. He bought 10 acres up there, built that. We helped him develop it through HEDIC, but he also subdivided and was responsible for selling to Homeward Suites, which is a beautiful hotel, which I think is a big plus and still is a big plus for the city. So that's where we have some flexibility. With the land deal and the development was industrial manufacturing, but to finance it, he had to do the hotel to do the whole thing properly. And we'll explore it and see if there's better ways to do it. But again, the economic development plan is filed, with this body first. We have one coming in. The planning board's got it right now, but it'll be coming to you pretty soon, and we'll be talking about that plan, different plan in the near future. And maybe we can add things to it that will make sure, as time goes on, we are transparent with the community and the neighborhood. But it's a good question, but it's kind of hard to answer other than,
But no,
I don't want to say buyer beware because I never liked that terminology, but we have a house, that, when we bought it, there was a vacant piece of parcel behind us, which is no longer vacant, and which is fine, except we now have a flood coming from the Soldiers' Home on down. And I could talk to you about that another time for a long time, but I might talk to my Ward 3 counselor about that one.
no, but really, that was tremendously helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
I'm trying, but.
Well, you succeeded, at least for me.
You did great. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Yes, you may.
Excellent, thank you. I appreciate all of this. This is all perspective that I think part of the reason that Councilor Rivera and why Councilor Panish and I followed our orders was so that we could have some of these conversations on the record in a way that we haven't been able to before. I did want to ask one more question, if you're okay with this. This may be outside of your purview, but I wanted to bring this up because there has been some discussion about a past HEDIC meeting some years ago in which this one industrial parcel, this 11 acres, was described as a wetland. To your understanding, is that actually an accurate designation? Or, again, this might be out of your purview, but I didn't think that it was classed as a wetland. There's no indication.
I don't love for my buddy here,
not a
John, to
wetland.
answer that question.
I would-
But I've said that to, I said that this evening to Beth coming in the door, and I may have said that years ago.
Okay.
It's more the topography and I think the shale underneath the ground that makes it very hard. We used to say of the 11 acres, you could probably develop 6 or 7 at best. But then there were still problems with, putting a footprint of a building on parts of the property. Wetland might have been my mistake, but it's, from my understanding, it's not.
There's a section near
The highway?
near the highway.
Yeah.
We had a wetland delineation done.
Oh, please come to the mic, yes.
Hi, everyone. John Diajek with the Economic Development Department and HEDIC. And we've done all kinds of studies for this particular site. As Mr. McGivern said, it evolved through an economic development plan probably about 20 years ago. And we tried a variety of ways to develop it. And when it was split into the 3 parcels, it was to accommodate a developer, and that didn't move forward. A little bit after that, we received some funding to do a site evaluation, and we did things like wetland delineations, environmental testing, and it was, as I said when I was sitting down there, there's a section near the highway which couldn't be touched, but that's near the highway side, and a significant slope on the front side, which would take a significant investment to even build a road. So, and that report's available. I'm happy to share it. So, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. With the permission of the chair?
Yes.
Could you let us know where that is located? Because I would like to look at it, and I don't know where to look.
It's a plan that was probably done 2017, around that time frame, and it was done through HEDIC, through a grant we received from Mass Development called the Site Readiness Program to evaluate the site. So I'm happy to share that. I can send it to Jeffrey.
Magnificent.
If folks want to reach out to me, I'm happy to share. It was a study. It was a good study. And it helped us with some marketing and some thoughts about how to develop the site. So, I don't think there's any reason why it was done through a public grant, and it's a report.
Excellent, thank you so much.
Thank you for that information. Any other questions? Anybody else in the gallery would like to have any other questions? That's it. I'll entertain a motion for item 10 and 11 taken up as a package.
Oh, should we do them separately?
Oh, sure, if that's the desire of the body. Item number 10?
I would make a motion that the order's been complied with.
Yeah, I would think I would modify that friendly amendment, I hope, that the order could not be fully complied with because legal made it impossible. Well, because we obtained legal advice that city departments could not participate due to ongoing litigation over this property.
So is that a motion to table or to be complied with that added?
Well, the motion that it couldn't be complied with, but we're done with it anyway, however we would.
So I'll read the order. That the Kestrel Land Trust, the Conservation Department, a representative from the Planning Board, be invited to appear before the Development and Government Relations Committee. All right? We got the letter from Kestrel. Conservation didn't show up. All right?
We got a letter.
Yoni is here, he's just not allowed to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I feel it should be recorded that although we brought this up, and it certainly is not city's staff's responsibility that they could not come in and give this presentation, it nevertheless could not be done. And I'd say saying that it's complied with suggests that there was, in fact, a presentation.
Do you have an alternative motion? Did anybody second your motion? Did anybody second his motion? I didn't hear a second.
Okay, so it fails for lack of a second.
Were you going to say something, Nicole?
Okay. So, Nicole, am I going to preempt you if I attempt to do a second motion?
No.
My opinion is somebody could refile this again after all the litigation is done and get more information if at that time there's any need for it.
Yeah, no, I think that is right. I just think it should probably go into the minutes as that the order was brought up and discussed but could not be fully complied with due to the legal status of the, or due to the litigation over the parcels, or over two of the parcels.
All those in favor of that motion? Jeffrey? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just, if you give me a little leeway here, when I do the committee report and put in the disposition, perhaps I can put in complied with to the extent possible. And then when the committee report gets done at the meeting next week, then you can go into what that means.
Is that sufficient?
Yeah, so that brings us back to a simple, the order's been complied with.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did you say anything, Izzy? Is he still here? No.
Okay. Again,
So that's item 11, and I would move that the order has been complied with.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's that.
But we skipped over,
Oh, no, we're going back.
yeah,
Where's my agenda?
yeah. Here, motion to take up item 7?
Still mine. Motion. There's been a motion and seconded to take up item number 7, that the city of Holyoke accept a parcel of land identified as a parcel located in the city of Holyoke as shown on plan entitled the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Plan of Land in the city of Holyoke, Hamden County, showing the location of land taken by the Department of Public Works for public recreational facilities, November 29th, 1967, scale 80 feet to 1 inch, dated November 29th, 1967, and recorded in the Hamden County Registry of Deeds in Plan Book 11198B. Such land was acquired by an order of taking recorded in the Hamden County Registry of Deeds in Book 3307, page 28, from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and declared that such land is for recreation and conservation purposes under the protection of Article 97 of the Massachusetts Constitution. In addition, the City Council adopted a resolution to submit to the state legislature to adopt such a law statewide. This is a draft resolution.
And I believe that it is Councilor Devines.
Thank you, if I could. I filed it, well, put it this way, it was filed under my name. And it seems pretty simple. I don't have the resolution with me on my paperwork, but it seems pretty simple if all we're asking to do is City Council adopt a resolution to submit to the state legislature to adopt such a law statewide, and there's a draft resolution attached. I don't have that with me, but you might. Okay, is that it?
I have the resolution.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't have it in my paperwork.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just noting that Yoni Glokauer is here for this item.
Okay.
Oh, good. Thank you, Yoni. Would you like me to read the resolution into the record?
It'd probably be the best thing to do. Yeah, thank you.
But we have Yoni also to talk to us.
Okay. Yoni, I'm going to read the resolution, and if you have something to say after that, give it your best. A resolution to acquire a parcel of land from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for the preservation or of conservation, recreation, and open space. Whereas Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 7C, Chapters 32 and 37, authorizes the divisions of capital, asset management, and maintenance to dispose of property owned by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and whereas the Division of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance has offered to transfer a parcel of land owned by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts within the city of Holyoke to the city of Holyoke for sole consideration, and whereas the parcel of land is identified as a parcel located in the city of Holyoke as shown on a plan entitled the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Plan of Land in the city of Holyoke, Hampden County, showing the location of land taken by the Department of Public Works for public recreation facilities, November 29th, 1967, scale 80 feet to an inch, dated November 29th, 1967, and recorded in Hampden County Registry of Deeds in Plan Book 11198B. Such land was acquired by an order of taking recorded in Hampden County Register of Deeds, Book 3307, page 28. I think I said that already. But anyway, whereas the city of Holyoke is desirous of acquiring said parcel located within the city of Holyoke for conservation, recreation, and preservation of open space under the protections of Article 97 of the Massachusetts Constitution. And now therefore, it is resolved by the City Council of the City of Holyoke as follows, that the mayor be authorized to enter into any agreements and execute any contracts or instruments necessary to effectuate the transfer of the property to the City of Holyoke to be under the control of the City of Holyoke Department of Parks and Recs, that the mayor be authorized to take other actions as necessary to carry out the acquisition of the property by the City of Holyoke that are deemed necessary pursuant to the statutes related to the connected with the disposition of the property by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the acquisition of the property by the City of Holyoke. That the property be maintained by the City of Holyoke for the purpose of conservation, recreation, and preservation in open space under protections of Article 97, Massachusetts Constitution. That this resolution will take effect upon its passage. That's that. And now we have our illustrious conservation officer, Yoni Glonhauer, to add his say in this. Please, Yoni, if you will.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for reading that all in its entirety. I'll try to be brief. I provided a little packet with some background information on this parcel. This was the site of the former Chamora Pool at Anniversary Hill Park near Scott Tower. This is a small 1.65 acre parcel of land that's completely surrounded by the rest of the park. And the way things worked in those days, the pool was created with the first Land and Water Conservation Fund grant in Holyoke. And this parcel was actually deeded by the city to the Massachusetts Department of Public Works for construction of the pool. They deeded it to the Department of Environmental Management. As I understand it, this was a municipally owned pool, but state retained control of the site. And even though the pool was closed in 1990 and they demolished and backfilled it, I found a memo from that period from 1993 documenting that process and saying now this should be deeded back to the city. That process never took place. And it's still just a strange inholding in the park. And so as we're working on the accessible trail and other improvements to Scott Tower and other great things we want to do with this space, this has always kind of been on the radar to get back into municipal control. It's not a simple transaction because of the fact that as state-owned conservation land, it's covered under Article 97 open space. And so even though there's not really a change in use that's being proposed, it still has to go through the Article 97 disposition process. So this goes back a few years now. We had Mayor Garcia write a letter of intent to the DCR commissioner with our intention to get this parcel back from state control. We went through a review process with EEA, with an online portal for these dispositions. And usually when there's something like this with Article 97, there's replacement land that needs to be considered. We were actually granted a waiver for this one because it's not, it's in Article 97 now, and now it's going to continue to be under that designation, just under municipal control under our Parks and Recreation Department. So that's been granted, but we still have to get full approval by our city council and our congressional delegation needs to file a bill with the state legislature to move it forward. So that's what this step is now. And yeah, I can leave it at that.
Thank you for your insight, and thank you for the great job you're doing.
So,
Anybody? Questions? Questions for Yoni?
well, motion to send this to the city council with a recommendation that it be approved.
Along with the resolution to the.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
So be it. Thank
All right,
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Yoni, for all your work.
Our hero.
Good night, Patty. Have a good evening.
So, motion to take up item 9.
Oh,
We're
we
skipping
missed 8.
it, right?
We missed 8.
8.
We're on 8. Oh, no, we're skipping 8. That's right. 8's been taken off. We're on 9. You're right. We're on 9. Item number 9, filed by Council Murphy Roboletti, ordered that the City Council approve the amendment to a special tax assessment agreement with Valley Mall LLC for the development that is occurring at their 4 North Bridge Street property. The special tax assessment agreement was originally approved by the City Council September 5th, 2023, and the amendment is attached. That's item number 9 for us paper pushers. Are there any questions from the committee?
No, I thought this was straightforward, but we have Councilor Murphy Ramboletti still with us.
I didn't have much, thank you. I didn't have much to add. I was asked by the team at Planning and Economic Development who informed me that they needed to get the amendment at the request of the state. So that's all I've got.
Eric, would you like to add anything? Our OPED director is here to add some.
Yeah, thank you. Eric Nakajima, Director of Planning and Economic Development. We met with the owners of Valley Mall probably 5 weeks ago. They'd been notified by the Economic Assistance Coordinating Council for this state that the state job tax credit, which is tied to a particular promise, essentially, but it's like a binding promise for a certain job creation target, in their opinion, hadn't been met. And so they were canceling the state tax credit. Unfortunately, for the city of Holyoke, the way that those agreements are typically written, if the state, you can't get the state credit unless you have a local incentive. But when the state gets rid of its incentive, it automatically cancels the special tax agreement that you have at the municipal level. So it was immediately in jeopardy. Just as a bit of context, they have added job. As people know the building that's over by the bridge. Yeah. It's obviously a beautiful, nice job of refurbishing and investing in the building itself. They actually have added headcount. And I think as importantly, the context that John Dijak and I had gotten with the owners, they've significantly invested in the physical plant of the building, including an expanded production line. If people know Valley Malt, if people know ground up, stone ground flour, they're actually in the process of putting in a lot of money into new equipment for a sort of a mass commodity line called Coastal Queen, which should represent a significant growth opportunity for them I think Andrea is actually here. One of the owners is here and can answer your questions. But I'm just saying, despite the state's action, we saw significant evidence of a company that's invested in Holyoke, is expanding in Holyoke, and for that reason, we're certainly, in our review, encouraging an extension of the tax agreement.
And for what it's worth, I have actually been down there and seen some of the improvements they're doing, and it's really extraordinary. So,
Any other questions? Would you like to let Andrea get your Andrea? Andrea, do you have anything to add?
Just that I think that, the job creation has happened, and is happening even more so, just not in the quarterly format that the state set it up. They needed very specific amount of jobs added in very specific time periods. And that just doesn't always come to fruition when you're running a business, and, the world can change and projects get delayed and things like that. So, but we are on that trajectory to meet all of the job requirements. I think it was adding 5 jobs, and we'll be able to do that. So, yeah.
Thank you for your plans to expand, too. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Okay. Thank you.
The will of the body.
Motion to approve the amended special tax assessment agreement with Valley Malt LLC.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor of that great motion?
Aye.
I second it and third it. Have a great evening, everybody. Thank you all for participation.
Thank you.